Most people think money problems come from not earning enough. But if that were true, high earners would feel financially secure all the time, and they don't. Walk through almost any major city and you'll find people making $50,000 who sleep peacefully at night, and people making $150,000 who feel like one bad month could wreck everything. Same inflation, same rising rent, same grocery prices, same economy. Completely different levels of peace. So what explains the gap? It isn't just discipline. It isn't just budgeting, and it definitely isn't just income. The real difference often comes down to something much quieter and much more powerful. It's the hidden relationship between stuff and financial freedom. Because every object you own asks something from you. It asks for money, it asks for space, it asks for maintenance, it asks for time, it asks for mental energy. And once you understand that, you start seeing a pattern that changes the way you look at every purchase you make. The people who always seem to have money are often not the people who earn the most. They're the people whose lives demand the least from their income. Let me show you what I mean. Picture two apartments in the same city, same neighborhood, similar rent, similar square footage. The first apartment belongs to someone earning $95,000 per year. Walk inside and you immediately see where the money went. A giant television mounted on the wall, a leather sectional that cost thousands, a kitchen full of appliances, several still in their original boxes, closets overflowing with clothes, many still with tags attached, a spare room that slowly turned into storage for things that were exciting when they were bought but haven't been touched in months or years. This person doesn't look reckless. They don't gamble, they don't blow money at clubs every weekend, they don't have some obvious addiction destroying their finances. But they do something more common and far more dangerous. They gradually built a lifestyle where almost every dollar they earn already has a job. When they check their bank account, there's tension. There's a quiet knot in their stomach because their life is expensive to maintain. They're not broke in the dramatic way people imagine. They're broke in the modern middle class way. Good income, nice things, almost no margin. Now picture the second apartment. This one belongs to someone earning $52,000 per year. Walk inside and the first thing you notice is space. A modest couch, a normal television, a kitchen with exactly the tools that get used, a closet with clothes that actually rotate. The spare room is still a spare room. There's no pile of unused purchases, no storage overflow, no silent evidence of buying for a version of life that never quite arrived. When this person checks their bank account, they feel something totally different. Calm, because they have cash reserves, they have an emergency fund, they invest a meaningful percentage of every paycheck, they can absorb problems without panic. Same neighborhood, same economy. One person earns nearly twice as much, the other has far more actual security. This is not a story about income, it's a story about invisible overhead. It's a story about the financial weight of possessions. And it's a story about why people who own less often end up with more money, more flexibility, and more peace than people who spend years trying to upgrade every corner of their lives. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you something. What do you think creates more financial security in real life? Earning more money or needing less to feel satisfied? Let me know in the comments because most people answer that question one way but live in a completely different way. Here's the idea that changes everything. Every object you own costs money twice. The first cost is obvious. It's the price tag. It's the number on the receipt. That's the cost people see. But the second cost is the one that quietly drains financial freedom for years. The second cost is storage, maintenance, upkeep, mental energy, and opportunity cost. And in many cases, that second cost ends up larger than the first. Think about a treadmill. Maybe it costs $1,000. That feels like the full cost. It isn't. It takes up valuable floor space in your home. Space costs money. In most cities, every square foot of housing is expensive. That treadmill is not just a treadmill, it's a permanent tenant. It occupies room that you're effectively paying for every month. Then it has to be moved around, cleaned around, thought about, and eventually disposed of. The same thing happens with furniture, hobby equipment, kitchen gadgets, second cars, boats, clothes, shoes, furniture upgrades, seasonal decor, electronics, and every nice-to-have purchase that looked small in the moment. The object enters your life once, but the cost keeps reappearing. The second cost is maintenance. A boat needs cleaning, storage, registration, insurance, and repairs. A luxury car needs premium gas, higher insurance, higher registration, and more expensive maintenance. Fancy clothes often need extra care. Big homes require more furnishing, more utilities, more cleaning supplies, more upkeep. The second cost is also mental, and this part is so underestimated it's almost invisible. Every object you own occupies a little piece of your mind. It needs to be remembered, organized, maintained, protected, cleaned, and occasionally felt guilty about. Researchers have found that clutter affects stress and attention. Your brain does not experience your stuff as neutral, it experiences it as unfinished business. And then there's opportunity cost. This might be the most important hidden cost of all. Every dollar locked into possessions is a dollar not building freedom. That $5,000 furniture upgrade wasn't just $5,000. It was $5,000 that could have been emergency savings, or invested, or used to buy back future time. Once you really understand that, minimalism stops sounding like deprivation and starts sounding like math. And that leads to the first minimalist money rule. Rule 1. Calculate cost per use before buying anything. Before you buy something, ask yourself how many times you will realistically use it. Not ideally, not in your fantasy life, realistically. Then divide the total cost by that number. This instantly reveals whether you're buying value or buying emotion. A $200 jacket worn twice costs $100 per wear. A $400 jacket worn 200 times costs $2 per wear. The more expensive jacket is actually cheaper in the only way that matters. Cost per use destroys a huge percentage of impulse spending. It reveals that many small treats are actually terrible value, while some expensive things are excellent value if they truly get used. A mattress is a great example. A high-quality mattress used every night for 10 years can end up costing less per use than almost anything in your home. Meanwhile, an expensive kitchen gadget used 4 times is absurdly expensive. Cost per use helps you separate real utility from emotional excitement. Rule 2. Apply the replacement test to what you already own. Walk through your home and ask one question about every object. If this disappeared today, would I spend money to replace it? Be honest, would you buy another bread maker? Another set of clothes you haven't worn in a year? Another random decor item sitting on a shelf? Another gadget stuffed in a drawer? If the answer is no, that means the item is still costing you even though you no longer value it. It is taking up space, attention, and often guilt. Minimalists understand that keeping something just because you already bought it is one of the most expensive emotional habits in modern life. If you would not replace it, it probably shouldn't still be claiming rent in your home and attention in your mind. Rule 3. Never upgrade out of boredom. This one quietly destroys huge amounts of wealth. A phone works perfectly fine, but a new one comes out. A car runs well, but a newer one exists. Furniture is still functional, but you're tired of looking at it. Clothes are fine, but trends changed. Most of what people call lifestyle improvement is just boredom mixed with marketing. The object still works, the person just wants novelty. And novelty is one of the most expensive addictions in consumer culture. Minimalists follow a brutally effective rule. If it still performs its function, it is not broken. Boredom is not a valid reason to replace something. This one mindset shift saves enormous amounts of money over a lifetime because it breaks the constant upgrade loop that keeps high earners feeling poor. If you're getting value from this so far, take a second to like the video and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot, and it tells the algorithm you want more content about money, behavior, and real wealth building. Now let's keep going, because the next rule is one of the most practical. Rule 4. Create friction for spending and ease for saving. Human behavior follows the path of least resistance. If spending is effortless and saving requires intention, most people will spend. If saving is automatic and spending has obstacles, most people will save more than they expect. Minimalists don't rely on motivation. They redesign the environment. They remove shopping apps from their phone. They delete stored payment methods. They create waiting periods for non-essential purchases. They automate transfers into savings and investments the moment income arrives. They make the smart decision easy and the impulsive decision inconvenient. That matters because willpower is unreliable. Systems are not. Rule 5. Count what you own. This sounds obsessive until you try it. Counting creates awareness. Awareness changes behavior. Most people wildly underestimate how much they own because accumulation happens gradually. One shirt here, one gadget there, another pair of shoes, another organizer, another appliance, another decorative item. Then one day the house feels full and the money is gone. When you count your possessions by category, the illusion breaks. 40 shirts feels different than some clothes. 20 coffee mugs feels different than a few extras. Minimalists often set soft limits, not because they love rules, but because limits create intentionality. Once you know you already own enough, every new purchase has to justify itself. Rule 6. Rent or borrow before you buy. This one alone could save thousands. Many people buy equipment for imaginary future versions of themselves. The version who camps every weekend. The version who becomes serious about photography. The version who kayaks all summer. The version who uses the expensive mixer every Sunday. Sometimes those interests are real. Often they are temporary enthusiasm. Renting first reveals whether the interest survives contact with reality. It also teaches you what you actually need before you spend real money. Minimalists don't turn curiosity into ownership too quickly. They test before they commit. Rule 7. Understand the lifestyle multiplier. Major purchases rarely arrive alone. They pull an entire ecosystem of new costs behind them. A pool means chemicals, maintenance, cleaning tools, furniture, repairs, and higher utilities. A boat means storage, insurance, registration, fuel, maintenance, safety equipment, and a vehicle capable of towing it. A home gym means mats, benches, racks, storage, maintenance, and dedicated space. People think they are buying one thing. They're actually buying a chain reaction. Minimalists ask a smarter question. Not, can I buy this, but what else does this purchase require me to buy, maintain, store, and care about? That one question exposes the true cost of ownership before the excitement of buying gets a chance to lie to you. Rule 8. Define enough before your income rises. This is where many high earners lose the game completely. They never decide what enough looks like, so each raise simply expands the lifestyle. Better apartment, better car, better furniture, better clothes, better vacations, better restaurants, better everything. And because better has no finish line, they never arrive at security. Minimalists do something different. They define enough. Enough house, enough car, enough clothing, enough convenience, enough comfort. Then when income rises, the difference between what they earn and what they need becomes investable surplus. That's where real wealth begins. Without a definition of enough, lifestyle inflation consumes everything. With a definition of enough, income growth turns into freedom. Rule 9. Measure wealth by optionality, not appearance. This is one of the deepest shifts in the whole philosophy. Most people measure wealth by visible accumulation, house size, car brand, wardrobe, vacations, devices, furniture. But real wealth is not about what you can display. It's about what you can choose. Can you leave a job that is draining your life? Can you handle a major emergency without panic? Can you take a year to reset, retrain, recover, or rebuild? Can you say no to money that comes with misery? Optionality is what wealth feels like from the inside, and optionality usually requires lower fixed expenses, not just higher income. That's why someone earning $80,000 and spending $45,000 can be far richer in practice than someone earning $180,000 and spending $170,000. One has options, the other has obligations. Rule 10. Declutter cyclically, not dramatically. Most people try minimalism the same way they try extreme diets. They do one huge purge, feel amazing for 2 weeks, then slowly drift back to the same habits. Minimalists who sustain the lifestyle do something less dramatic and more effective. They declutter regularly. Small reviews, small removals, small resets. They catch accumulation early. They adjust continuously. That works because the real enemy is not clutter itself. It's unconscious accumulation. Regular review keeps your life aligned with your values and prevents the slow creep of possessions that always seems harmless in the moment. Here's the part people rarely say out loud. Owning less often makes you feel richer almost immediately. Not because deprivation is fun, not because empty rooms are magical, but because margin changes your emotional life. When you spend less than you can afford, save more than you think you need, and reduce the hidden costs of ownership, money starts to feel different. It stops feeling slippery. It stops feeling like something that comes in and immediately disappears. It starts feeling like a tool, a buffer, a source of calm. And that calm changes behavior. When your savings are strong, the urge to perform success weakens. You stop needing purchases to reassure you. You stop needing upgrades to feel like you're progressing. You stop confusing consumption with self-respect. This is the virtuous cycle of minimalist money. Spending less creates savings. Savings create security. Security reduces the emotional urge to spend. Reduced spending creates more savings. Over time, that cycle becomes powerful enough to transform an entire financial life. The opposite cycle is just as real and far more common. Spending creates stress. Stress triggers more spending for relief, novelty, or status. More spending creates more fragility. Fragility creates more anxiety. And the cycle continues until income rises or life breaks. But even income often doesn't fix it, because without changing the underlying pattern, higher earnings simply finance a more expensive version of the same instability. That is why this is not really a story about minimalism in the aesthetic sense. It's a story about overhead. It's a story about how much of your lifestyle is allowed to consume. It's a story about whether your income works for you or whether it's permanently committed to feeding a version of life you no longer even enjoy. The person in that first apartment wasn't irresponsible in some dramatic way. They just kept saying yes to upgrades that felt normal, reasonable, and deserved. A nicer couch, better appliances, more clothes, more convenience, more comfort, more why not? Until one day there was no margin left. The person in the second apartment discovered something almost no one is taught clearly. Owning less does not mean living worse. It means choosing what truly improves your life and refusing to spend the rest of your income maintaining noise. And once that becomes your standard, money behaves differently. Life behaves differently. Stress behaves differently. If this video made you think differently about money, possessions, and real wealth, like the video and subscribe for more. I make content about money, discipline, psychology, and financial freedom. And before you go, I want to ask you one more thing. What is one purchase you regret making because it cost you more than just the money on the receipt? Let me know in the comments, because sometimes the smartest financial decision is not making more money. Sometimes it's finally understanding what your possessions have been quietly costing you all along.